Hey Geeks! We're back with another sci-fi review, this time reviewing the sci-fi original series The Expanse, Season 2, Episode 7, titled The Seventh Man.
If you haven't seen this episode yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, you're going to want to skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler.
First, it was really awesome to see Anderson Dawes again. As much of a bastard as this guy is, he's really fun to watch because he's so charming and manipulative. He reminds me a lot of Tyrion.
Yeah,
a little bit, just the way, because it seems like he's thinking way farther ahead than everybody else around him.
Yeah.
For instance, he manipulated Diogo into giving up the scientist Cortazar, and now Anderson Dawes potentially could get the proto-molecule.
Yeah, and just like Tyrion, thinking a couple steps ahead, he knew to send a fake ship out so he could get away.
Yeah. And, you know, on one side, I kind of feel bad for Diogo, but on the other side, he's an idiot. So it's hard to feel bad. I feel bad for him, but it's getting really hard to feel bad for him, especially with how easily Dawes pulled those strings by playing up to his ego and comparing him to Miller, who he idolizes.
Mm-hmm. So whatever the consequences are for Diogo, he deserves them.
Absolutely, 100%. Moving on to Bobby Draper. I'm conflicted on her story for this episode because she's been such a badass for so long, and to see her very much weakened in this episode, I don't know how I feel about that. But that said, I'm interested in the direction that they're going with this because she's going to have to testify before the Peace Council between Mars and Earth, and they want her to lie. Mars wants her to lie about it, and I'm willing to bet that Avasarala gets the truth out of her.
And even though she was weak in the beginning of the episode, she is very quickly recovering. That was this just happened. I just saw my entire squad killed in front of my eyes, weak, to, all right, this is done. I can't do anything about it, and there's still a war fight. Back to, like, repairing her armor by the end of the episode.
And I really can't wait for Bobby Draper and Avasarala to meet each other. I think these are two characters who, they're very different kinds of people, but I bet they're going to end up being kind of buddies. There were some other small things in this episode that were really interesting too, like Amos talking to Cortazar about the surgery that kind of took away his empathy. I'm like, man, I really hope Amos doesn't elect to get this surgery because he won't be Amos anymore, and I love Amos. He's my favorite character.
And I think that this is a little hint that they are going to cover his backstory at least a little bit, because he does have a really interesting and just sad backstory that would be nice for the viewers to know.
I'm an Amos fanboy, and any more insight I can get into his character, I am all in for. And it looks like the cultural differences between Holden and Naomi are finally starting to play into their relationship a little bit. Like, I see the cracks starting to break into that foundation.
Like, she scolded him for chiming in when Dawes and Fred were talking.
And she keeps telling him to pick a side, and he's like, we're all on the same side. And right now, it seems like Holden is the only one who is there. As far as just, this is the way it has to be. We have to all work together. Humanity has to work together, and he's the only one who is thinking that right now. Avasarala, even right now, is just thinking about Earth.
Yeah.
The Martians are all just thinking about Mars. Dawes and Fred, they're all really just thinking about the belt. I think Fred's mentality is a little closer to Holden's than everybody else's, but I think Holden is the only one who's like, no, look, humans need to come together because some shit's coming from outer space. And finally, Avasarala in this episode didn't get a ton of screen time, but it was super important screen time.
Yeah. Like, they're starting to default to her judgment, and, like, it was her idea to host peace talks because, you know, Earth thinks they were defeated on Ganymede.
Yeah.
And she's saying, and you know, the argument is if we are defeated and then start talking peace, we look weak. She's like, no, we host peace talks on our territory. It's a threat. And she's totally right, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and I love it when she kind of hands Aaron Wright his ass, which she's done in a few episodes in a row now. I'm like, dude, just, you know, the whole show could just be her, you know, verbally beating down Aaron Wright, and I would watch it. It's awesome. So this episode was really designed to set up the rest of the season, and I think it did it really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for shows when they're doing a setup episode like this for that episode to fall flat and be really boring. This one, it was really intriguing. There wasn't a ton of action until the very, very end. But that said, it was a very intriguing episode. It's politically intriguing. And that's something that I know I've said before, but I'm going to reiterate it. The Expanse does better than damn near every other show on television. They do political intrigue, they do the science in science fiction. So in my opinion, it is still absolutely the best show on television.
I totally agree. I love The Expanse. This show's just it's amazing.
It's out of this world. So I think that's all we have for this video. If you have anything to add, please let us know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this review, tell us by dropping a like on it, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with your friends.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.